webinar on attrition and hiring, trends for 2022 specifically. By now, I'm sure all of us have already heard of the Great Resignation, and probably we've all witnessed it to some degree as well. Now, as per Anthony Klotz, who is a Texas University professional, rather educator over there, he says when there's uncertainty, people tend to stay put, which means that during the first year of pandemic, employees were holding on to their jobs, and even the employees who were thinking of looking out for job opportunities deferred their plans to do so. However, cut to second year of pandemic, and we see a mass exodus of employees, looking for other opportunities and leaving their organization for greener pastures and that offer better opportunities. Now, the theory behind Klotz's prediction is that people have been sheltering their jobs for over a year. They rode out the pandemic, keeping their heads down, not making waves, and desperately holding on to their position. While over 10 million Indians lost their job in the second wave, now that things have changed, now that economies are opening up, there's this vaccination that has already been pumped in. I think things have changed a lot from an employee perspective, and the overarching mood feels that there has been a seismic shift in the workers, and they feel more emboldened when they are going out in the job market. Instead of reading about the massive layoffs, now we see that there's a big need of workers in the economy or in the market. Now, today's session will deep dive in understanding the Great Resignation and its impacts, and developing mitigating plans and explore unique ways of tapping talent. We'd like to make this session insightful and leave you with nuggets on how do you respond to a very buoyant talent market alongside business continuity. Just a heads up, we'll be referring the Global Capability Centers or the Global Information Centers as GCOEs, and that stands for Global Center of Excellence. The first thing that I would like to see is, where is the talent going? Now, if you see we have talent, if I say 100% of talent was in GCOE, we've seen a movement of that talent between 2019 and 2020. And here's an indication of where the talent has actually been moving to. So from the GCOEs, they're moving to other GCOEs, they're moving to startups, they're moving to service providers and Indian entrepreneurs. Indian enterprises and PSUs. And why are they doing that? Startups offer, a unique proposition in terms of the IT world, and they give the employees that feeling of ownership. Along with that, if I talk about the PSUs, that gives a feeling of Atmanirbhar Bharat, where employees feel they're contributing to developing India. So if you see a comparison between 2019 and 2020, we have seen, a shift, not just from one GCOE to the other, but also from the GCOEs to other industries like startups and service providers and in Indian enterprises and PSUs. To put things into perspective, let's kind of look at the numbers that we've seen so far. And on each given day, a different estimate of how many employees are considering quitting employment may be found. However, as per our research, we found out that approximately 5% reduction was seen in attrition in 2020 as compared to 2019. Whereas, going back to Anthony Klotz's theory, now employees have started feeling emboldened, and we can see a rise in the attrition numbers to 18.1%. Having said that, we do expect the numbers to fall down to a 14.5 towards the end of 2022. When we dig deeper in the ER&D and non-ER&D functions, we found out that the attrition numbers were at an all-time high of 19.7% during 2021, whereas, like I mentioned, we are expecting that to fall down to a 16.7 number during the year 2022. Similarly, for non-ER&D functions as well, the attrition was high at 14.4% and is expected to come down at 11.8%. Now, how does this split look geographically? Bangalore has experienced the largest spike in voluntary attrition of about 6% in ER&D function alone in 2021. And if I talk about Chennai and Pune, which are majorly dominant by the automobile and engineering services industry, they've hit a little less in terms of the ER&D voluntary attrition. Whereas the non-ER&D function too saw a spike in all cities in 2021, where NCR has largest spike of 5.5%, and Chennai had the smallest spike of 2.5%. Now, when we talk about attrition, what are the key factors? What are the driving factors that are affecting this attrition? One theory by Anthony Cole says that employees are feeling more emboldened now, and there was a pent-up demand for attrition that was holding up from 2019 to 2020. However, when we went out to the market and did some research, we understood that these are some of the key factors that employees are looking at, and because of which there's a high attrition in the market. So the first one being compensation. Compensation has always been one of the key factors when we talk about attrition. Employees constantly are looking for better compensation. And, like always, it remains a key factor. Having said that, that is even more heightened because of the new startups that have joined the ecosystem, the new unicorns, which are paying high salaries, and they are paying retention strategies like RSUs and stocks to their employees. So compensation is one of the key factors. But beyond that, if you look at the other factors, flexibility has also come up as a factor that employees are considering a lot more when they are working with an organization. The pandemic has given a sense of sense in the minds of all the employees that they would want to work in a more flexible environment. And the pandemic has given rise to this new virtual work environment, and more employees are looking for flexibility to work at their comfort and or a more hybrid space setup. Moving on to the other factors, wellness and well-being. When a global pandemic like COVID had hit India, there was a lot of concern in the minds of employees that about their well-being. They became more aware of their natural immunity and how can they do better for their wellness and well-being. So that was another factor that came out shining when we did the research, and the employees feel more responsible now for their health and overall well-being as a result of the pandemic. Employees are increasingly searching for work atmosphere that allows them to feel less anxious, think more clearly, and retain high sense of calm and inner sense. Then if you look at the other factors, skill development and career development and role. So these are, I would say primarily around the employees having that feeling that more than the role that they're performing, more than enhancing the roles and responsibilities of what they do at work, they would want to, kind of enhance their skills, which would give them an opportunity at the future prospects of their role. So employees have shifted their attention to better capitalize on future professional prospects and goals. And to do so, they are striving to improve their knowledge and, more importantly, their skills. Employees believe that adding on new skills will give them a push in their career journey. On the emotional front, now emotional connect, we are all working, or I would say most of us are still working from home or hybrid setup. At this point, a key factor that an employee has felt is that there is very little emotional connect. And in the virtual work environment, that emotional connect that employee used to feel with an organization has faded to a great extent. And it goes without saying, and I'm sure all of you would be aware, that it's a well-known truth that engaged personnel are more effective and tend to remain longer with an organization, which is what we are looking for. Now, the last point, the sixth point, the sense of autonomy and ownership. This is majorly from the startup perspective. The employees now want to feel that sense of ownership. With the new unicorns coming in, they give the employees that opportunity to be entrepreneurs and contribute like it is their own organization. That is another point or another factor that is affecting the employees today, and they would want to see more of that ownership in their work and work culture. Having said that, this was about the key factors of attrition, but we have a belief that when attrition is high, it is also linked with hiring. So if an employee is moving, or rather trying from one organization, they are in most likelihood looking for a job in another organization. So while we saw the attrition numbers at an all-time high, we have seen an inflation in the hiring numbers as well during 2021. If you see, the numbers for 2022 reflect that 22.8%, whereas for 2021, they've gone up to 38.5. And with the increase in demand for certain niche skills, with all those startups coming in, and majorly all the organizations that have been set up in the last 2 years have been around the IT space. So there are a lot of niche skills in the market like AI and ML that have come up in demand, and that is what is causing the high attrition also. Specifically, when I talk about ER&D functions, they've seen a much higher spike in hiring as compared to the non-ER&D functions. After a dormant 2020 due to the insurge of pandemic, 2021 saw immense market activity early on, and despite the slight dip during the second wave, the hiring picked up again in the last 2 quarters of 2021. However, the long fundamentals of Indian talent market remain strong, and there is a huge pent-up demand due to the record technology deals and hiring. And we are seeing tremendous growth in consumer business, particularly tech companies and large banking firms, due to massive global investment to accelerate digital transformation. If we dig deeper in the hiring trends and talk about the ER&D and non-ER&D functions, we can see a similar trend that the ER&D function is showing a hiring percentage of 40.8, apologies, and which is expected to come down to 35.8, 35.3 during the course of 2022. And if I talk about the non-ER&D function, it is again a high at 33.4, which is expected to come down to 27.2 during the end of or by the end of 2022. And a geographical split, here's what it looks like in terms of the demographics. Bangalore leads the hiring trend as usual with a steep 43.4% ER&D hiring in 2021, closely followed by Hyderabad at 42.6. So Hyderabad is coming up big. They're seeking, investment from IT, from banking and internet-enabled work, and that's why we've also seen a hike in the hiring numbers for Hyderabad. Now, we've talked about the attrition, we've talked about the hiring, and we've talked about the problems. What is it that we can do next to cater or solve these problems? We know that the factors that employees are looking at are around compensation, better benefits, flexible work environment, wellness and well-being, career growth, and enhancing their skills. But what is it that we can do to mitigate these attrition challenges? That is what I'm going to talk about in the next section. Now, we're going to split it by, one factor after the other. So we are going to talk about revamping the whole compensation. Now, compensation, and rather I would say compensation and benefits, because they're both interlinked. So spike in attrition has compelled organizations to produce these creative strategies to mitigate these challenges and de-risk their workforce. And if I talk specifically about compensation, tools and channels to enable collaboration in virtual environment within the team should be rewarded. So what I'm trying to say with that is that whenever we see collaboration within the team, that is something that the organizations should look to reward, because in the virtual environment, that is something that we need to focus upon. And if I talk about other compensation instruments or tools that organizations can utilize, then bonuses comes at the top of my head. So these bonuses can be split, during the joining, and they can be vested over a period of time that will enable the organizations to prolong the employees' stay in an organization and avoid employees arriving sooner. Also, we can talk about the referral bonuses. So referral bonuses can be a lucrative option to enhance hiring and retain talent. Now, when there's an employee that joins an organization, if we give them good compensation, and also the benefits, along with a good company culture, we can always, promote the referral bonuses, and we can ask those employees to bring in their colleagues and their friends who have similar experiences and who would be a good fit for the organization. So all these factors are something that are very well known. You're all, the leaders in the market, and you had these HR strategies. So you would already know these factors, but this is something that we've also come up with, as some factors that we can help uh, to mitigate these attrition challenges. Now, the next one is a little controversial proposition that we've come up with, but it is evident in countries like US. I'm talking about the location-based salaries. Now, like I said, this is a controversial topic, so I will not really push too much on it. But this is something that can also be explored, and we can also, enhance that feeling of transparency when it comes to compensation in the minds of our employees. Another factor would be around, the benefits on emotional, physical, and financial wellness. We've seen that there are organizations who are, putting in a lot of effort to ensure that their employees are in a good space of mind and are productive. And for that, they are giving benefits around the employees' wellness, may it be physical, may it be mental, may it be financial. So these are something that would also be categorized under the benefits section. The second factor that we talked about, because of which we've seen attrition numbers go up, is the flexibility. Now, flexibility is something that has in recent times come up, in a big way. And what organizations can do right now is provide flexible work timings in terms of their login times and log off time if they're working from home. Uh, Employees are providing, or employees, or rather employers can provide the ability to work from home full time or part time in according to their preference. Along with that, the organizations can also, provide more paid time and caregiver leaves. So this is something, when I talk about flexibility, in the pandemic, we have seen that a lot of us have been affected by it, and we've required time off to give that time to our families. That is something that I'm sure all the HR leaders have at the top of their mind, that they would want to be flexible with that. They would want to provide that flexibility to the employees. This will not just help them understand, the importance of uh, uh, being there with the family, but also give that comfort to the employees that my organization is there with me in my time of trouble. The next one is to focus on the employee wellness. Now, many organizations are already doing it. And if not, then we would propose to push for it, to have therapists, coaches, and wellness experts, or even team workshops that can be a good way to help employees deal with anxiety and feel that calm that they look for. Now, flexible health and wellness stipend is also something that can be included by the or by the employers, where employees can choose what's important for them. For example, if they would give a preference to a yoga or a meditation or a gym, uh, the organizer or the employers can always give them that benefit, and the employees can make use of that. That will again create that sense of belonging towards the employer. An out of the box strategy that I think can be introduced by organizations is starting new traditions like weekly fun hour, probably 1 hour in the whole week. The team can get together, and keeping the work aside, they can have fun. All these things have come up from a virtual perspective, because a lot of us, or a lot of our teams, are actually working virtually right now. So I think this can be a good motivation or a boost to the employees. We can also have a weekly no meeting day. So one day that the employee can completely focus on just their work instead of meetings. Of course, this is not a one size fit all strategy, but I'm sure that a lot of organizations can look into it and maybe provide that comfort to their employees. The next one would be around their career and skill upgrade. So like I mentioned earlier, employees rather are now focused on their skills. They would like to enhance their skills more than, taking up more roles and responsibility enhancements. So what organizations can do in this space is that role change can be something that the employers can offer that will match the aspirations of critical talent. So after a while, when you're working on probably one role or responsibility, you would like to further expand your horizon to learn new things, and uh, there might be career aspirations that an employee might have. So from that perspective, the role change could also be something that can be enabled for an employee. And then employer support to employee in learning and developing skills of employee's choice in line with the organization's objectives. Then the next thing, like I said, all of these factors are something that you're already aware of, but we are kind of reiterating because this is what has come out in our research. So providing career pathing opportunities in forms in the form of IGPs, promotions, and progression. And then they can also be a rotational model for providing on-site exposure. This is something that has always attracted new employees, and even the tenured employees are attracted towards it. So organizations can actually look at, providing them rotational on-site exposure so that they can have that global outlook and will be more, productive and tend to engage longer with an organization. The last but definitely not the least, this is inclusion and belonging. So like I mentioned, employees in this virtual space today, they kind of miss that emotional connect that we used to have, when we used to go to office, we used to talk to our colleagues, the management. There was a lot of interaction in person. So that is something that is missing. And what can organizations do about it? So we can have in-person or virtual team bonding activities that need to resume back the way they used to be earlier, and that would help push further good team connects. Organizations should also encourage employee groups or clubs based on the shared interest, uh, and also can initiate diversity and inclusion groups to build a sense of connection within the organization. Now, these were some of the things that we think could help mitigate the attrition challenges, and we've seen that happen in many organizations as well. So we are going to talk about a few organizations that have actually implemented these strategies. So if I talk about Atlassian, they came up with the Team Anywhere policy where they provided flexibility to their employees to work from any location where they have corporate entities and employees have legal rights to work. Microsoft, on the other hand, has voiced about flexibility being the future of hybrid workplaces, and on various social media platforms, they have advocated to normalize breaks between meetings. On employee wellness front, Intuit started the Fit for Life program, where they have incentivized employees engaging in stress reduction activities. And apart from the standard meditation and mindfulness programs that they already run. And Google, one of the key players in the market, they have provided 35 mental health sessions per year, which means almost three sessions a month. And to not just employees, they've extended this benefit to their families. So all of these strategies have actually created that, or rather, all these strategies will create that sense of belongingness towards an organization, and we believe that this will definitely help the organizations retain the high or top talent even further and for a longer duration. Now that was on the attrition part. If I talk about hiring has also seen a tremendous change in the erstwhile ways of hiring. There are new innovations and there are new strategies that can be implemented to further boost the hiring capabilities of an organization. What we can look at is intensifying campus hiring and university collaboration. And in this, there are three parts that I would like to talk about. The first one being looking beyond the tier one colleges. So we have, off late, I've seen quite a lot of social media posts where employees are talking about, moving away from just the tier one colleges and looking at tier two and tier three colleges as well, because talent is definitely available over there. We can also explore, options like social media hiring, and LinkedIn is, of course, a great source of that. Another one is hiring through the events like hackathon, where you actually practically get to see an employee or an individual work, and that can be something that can further boost the hiring for an organization. Then the next concept is acqui-hiring. So when an organization or when a company acquires another company, usually a startup, to get access to its talent with or without its intellectual property, but not for its revenue or customers. They actually do that uh, to get the talent. That is called acqui-hiring. And the word acqui-hiring is a combination of acquisition and hiring. Now, some of the examples of organizations that have actually done that in the past would be Walmart and Automation Anywhere, and major tech giants like Amazon, Facebook, Google have been tapping into niche technology using acqui-hiring for quite some time now. And like I was mentioning about Walmart and Automation Anywhere. So Walmart acquired Big Trade, a Bangalore-based B2B wholesale trading platform, to bolster its customer service system. And second one, Automation Anywhere acquired a product engineering startup, Cathios Labs, specializing in product development, automation, and predictive analytics to support the company's expansion and product innovation. There are other opportunities where employers can boost their hiring as well. That is passive hiring. So look for unique ways to contact talent, like tech roundtables, presence on tech platforms like GitHub, and talent symposiums. Then we do have the returnship program, diversity hiring, and the first-time hires. And what we've found in many of our discussion with industry leaders, that as we move up the organization hierarchy, the gender diversity gap increases in favor of men. So what that typically means is that women usually have to quit their jobs owing to multiple reasons. Now that is a big gap. We would want to bring those women employees back to the organization. They have the exposure, and they have the understanding of how things work. So it would be good to have them back. That is something that can be tapped on. Also, if organizations expand their horizons and look forward or look towards the LGBTQI and people with disability, then we have a huge talent pool available to us. In fact, during one of our recently concluded conferences on inclusion and diversities, we had many leaders from the industry who shared that they are looking at this talent pool, and they're not just looking at it, they're actually advocating for it. So we have a huge talent pool in front of us. We just have to, kind of tap on it. Now, we can always have rehires. So what I mean by rehires is when an employee leaves an organization's, probably, to enhance their education or getting into business, organizations can always have these networks or these groups or these alumni groups that they can set up and keep in touch with such employees. They already have the exposure of the organization and how the work is done in an organization. So it would be good to, have connects with those alumni of an organization, and that will further expand the talent pool. Apart from this, there are a lot of hiring innovations that we're seeing in the market these days. So we can have innovative hiring tools like pre-selection softwares that calculate a candidate's chance of success in a position using predictive analytics. This enables recruiters and hiring managers in making data-driven recruitment judgments. Tools that can be utilized are Hacker Earth Suite and the Turbo Hire. Then we can also have assessment tools. Organizations are investing a lot more in various assessment tools to gauge the skill and behavior of a candidate that helps in enabling good fit. So these were some of the key strategies that we believe the leaders are already looking into, and maybe they can also further enhance the use of these strategies to further retain employees and to hire more employees during the tenure of the next few years. Now, apart from this, we do have a lot of offerings. When I talk about Zinnov, we do have compensation studies, we have campus compensation, we have salary increase and hiring trends that we are part of today. We do have the benefit study and the compensation peer benchmarking also, that's something that we conclude. So we would definitely like to get in touch with you and stay in touch with you for these offerings. Feel free to reach out to us. And that was it from my end. I would hand it back to Dhananchu. Over to you, Dhananchu.